Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of Full Steam Ahead. I'm your host, Zoe. Cantu is on the other side. Happy Friday. Of course, we're recording this on a Thursday night. So, terrific Thursday, throwback Thursday, whatever you want to call it. But the weekend
No,
is here. Hopefully, everybody's going to get a great start to their weekend.
it's basically my Friday today too. I don't work tomorrow, so can spend time with the family. And then, well, I do work at the Astros game tomorrow, but in the morning is what I mean. I don't work tomorrow in the morning. Just spend some time with family, and then hit the San Diego versus Astros game to see if I can get some interviews, story. Yeah. So yeah, pretty good weekend. The start to the week. Sorry,
Yeah, it must be nice to not work on Friday. So,
it's Good
credit to
Friday. Yeah.
you and everybody else who doesn't have to work. If you do have to work, just remember, push through it. Then beers are waiting for you at the house. Them alcoholic drinks, whatever you like, wine, um, tequila, any of that type of stuff. But it's gonna be a great week of sports. Rockets in the playoffs, playing on Sunday, game one against no other than the Golden State Warriors.
With a cursive on. I don't know.
The Warriors are 4-0 against the Rockets, but this is a different team, different era.
Yeah.
Warriors are getting older. Steph Curry is just the best shooter in the world.
Jimmy
There's
Butler's, playoff Jimmy too.
playoff Jimmy as well, but Steph Curry is just the best shooter in the world.
Yeah.
There's
I,
nobody
I agree.
comparable. You can compare him to.
That's just God's talent right there.
That is, but that's on Sunday night of Game One of their first round of the playoffs. The Rockets haven't been in the playoffs. I want to say about 5 years. So
I think so.
shout
Sounds
out to
about
Ime
right.
Udoka and that staff being able to turn that around. But the Astros will be playing the San Diego Padres on Crawford Street Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sunday will be a Sunday night baseball game, so tune in to that one. But
And downtown's gonna
go
be
ahead, go ahead.
packed. I would say downtown's gonna be packed with the Rockets and the Padres game. It'll be a crazy time.
Yeah, are the Dynamo playing by any
Uh,
chance?
they probably if they do, they probably play Saturday or away. I don't think they'll play Sunday.
Could be interesting because that right there, you got Toyota, you got Shell,
Oh, yeah,
and you
then
got Dyken Park right there.
that'll be ugly.
Gosh, George R. Brown's gonna be popping. The bars right there, Lou Woodrow's, Kobo's, Pitch 25. I think Apollo Houston is having their WrestleMania watch party. If anybody watches
They,
WWE and all that type of stuff
they play on Saturday at 8:30.
at Shell.
It says. Let me see. Yeah,
Oh man, what a weekend of sports in H Town. What a weekend. But title of this episode is going to be called Astros Roller Coaster of a Start. I think everybody has seen the trend on either social media, just looking at the schedule, the Astros schedule. The Astros have gone back and forth with wins and losses in 13 straight games. 13 straight games of WL. Wins and losses. Wins and
you
losses.
know,
That's why we're going to go with the roller coaster.
I think the Astros have a tendency to surprise a lot of people. You know, they're known for a slow start, but it's like they're playing good. They haven't played the best baseball, but they're still winning games just because of their pitching and the fact that you know when they lose, they kind of gain ground by winning the next day. I think that's kind of special there. I think the Astros, if you look at all the AOS, I think they're in a good spot. I know it may not seem that way in the eye of Astros fans, but they're in a good spot.
Yeah, I'll talk about the standings here in just a second, but episode 250 title is right there on the board. But we're going to talk about that series against the St. Louis Cardinals, preview that San Diego series. There is also a great article by Chandler Rome of why Nolan Arenado did not get traded to the Houston Astros. We'll have a little talk about that after we recap that series. San Diego's, like I said, is in town. We'll have that pitching preview. Astros injury updates because there are some key bullpen pieces about to be coming back, and a big start for Lance McCullers Jr., which determines to see when he will be available for this Astros rotation because there is a huge question mark, I will say, about one particular starting pitcher on this rotation. Around the horn, we might not be able to get to because we love talking about the recap of the series and going a little bit more depth and information about that. But Angel, before we get started, let everybody know where they can follow us, where they can see us. Maybe some interviews will be coming up soon this weekend, and including that Toronto Blue Jays series. So let everybody know where they can see us.
Yeah, if you look up on top of my head, you can see the X, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Most of them are at Full Steam Ahead, except Instagram. That's at FSA Full Steam Ahead. You can also catch us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. And YouTube is great because you can get some shorts, you can get some exclusive interviews there, and also listen to the podcast again. So whenever you want, so tune in there.
Yes, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button, hit that bell because we will be posting some content this coming weekend and maybe during the weekdays as well with the Blue Jays coming soon to town. But like I had mentioned, this Astros WL in 13 straight games will per Elias Sports. This ties as the longest streak for the Houston Astros in franchise history. The other time the Astros did that was back in August and in September of the inaugural season of Enron Field in 2000. The Astros were able to do that. But the longest streak in the Major League Baseball, you want to take a guess which team owns the longest streak?
I think I saw this, but so I'll be kind of cheating, but it was the Braves.
Yes. You get bonus points if you get the year right.
Talk to me. I don't know.
2021, that famous World Series winning team that beat the Astros in what, 6 games, if I'm not mistaken, 4-2
Yeah, I think
in
it
the
was
World
16.
Series. Yeah. So they did it in 14 games. So the Astros have a possibility on Friday, which I see some funny things on social media saying the Astros lost on Wednesday against the Cardinals. Friday, some people were saying bet your life savings, your house that the Astros could win that game on Friday. But it's going to be a tough little series. This is a good team in the Padres. What,
Yeah,
15-4 right now?
yeah,
One of the
they're on
hottest teams
fire.
in baseball. Of course, they're in one of the toughest divisions in the National League. So this is a. I think this is their biggest test so far. I'm not saying the Giants aren't the best team in that West because they are. They're fighting against the Dodgers, the Padres, and the Diamondbacks. The Rockies, it's a different story. But I think the Padres, more than anything, they have a great pitching staff. They got great hitters. They got a good bullpen. So this is one of those. It could be a World Series matchup in the making. But more than likely, you could see the San Diego Padre team could be in the postseason again this season.
Yeah, absolutely. They're first place in the NL West, which is again, which everybody thought would be the Dodgers series to take easily. But yeah, they've been playing some great baseball. They played a good team in the Chicago Cubs twice, and then they won both series there. So they're doing pretty good.
Yep. But your Houston Astros, their record as of right now is 8-10. They are last place of the American League West. Should you hit the panic button? I don't think so. You shouldn't. This is this well, we're talking about this offense here in just a second. It's crazy to see how the Astros are not that far back from the Rangers or the Mariners or the Angels in first place. I mean, it's still up there. If you look at the American League, in the air, we're barely 18 games into the 62 game season this year. So there should be no panic. Of course, right now, how the offense is playing. And of course, if you followed the Astros from season to season, you know that the offense is very slow to get going. Right now, what I will say that's saving Houston's first start of this season is the pitching. Starting
Yeah,
pitching has been fabulous. And when you got a pitcher like Hunter Brown, which we'll talk about him in the recap, I mean, it just helps you a lot. Framber Valdez has had some good games. Hayden Wisniewski has pitched really well. Ronel Blanco had one good start. Of course, with Spencer Arrighetti out right now, well, you're getting guys like Ryan Gusto to step up. So what I will say is the starting pitching, you can even give a little bit of credit to the bullpen. The bullpen is doing a really fabulous job. If you take away that series in Seattle, I think they've done a really decent job.
yeah. I agree. I think that's why they are where they are, and it's not worse. Like I was kind of mentioning earlier too, the pitching and even the bullpen early on too, getting the Astros wins some tight games. Yeah, I know they had a little blunder there in that Minnesota season, but overall the bullpen's played pretty good, pitched pretty good.
Yes, I did have a stat here which I think it is now gone. I will have to look for it later when we talk about the pitching preview. But there's a stat that this Houston team has four left-handed relievers in their bullpen. Like that's a crazy number to think
It's
that the Astros
crazy.
have four lefties in their bullpen.
The Astros were always searching for lefty pitchers, because they never had any.
Mhm. So But let's go with this recap real quick and go through it. In game one, it just wasn't pretty for the Astros. The Astros just didn't play good baseball all around. They did lose that game to 8-3. And starting pitching, you would think Framber Valdez and Hunter Brown going into this game, this was going to be their game. But we did mention when you're going against another pitcher on the other side like Sonny Gray, which has had good numbers against the Astros through his career, it was going to be a dogfight. And it was going to be just like every series we say, if that one mistake happens on either side, then the other team is going to take advantage. And sure enough, the Cardinals did that against Framber Valdez. His stat line: 4 innings, 10 hits, 7 earned runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. And that's not a Framber stat that usually Houston fans hear about La Grasa. The big numbers right here I'm about to break down for you: 7 swing and misses, not double digits like he usually gets. 7 swing and misses. The spin rate on Framber's sinker was down, including his changeup. His changeup, I think it was like negative 39 RPMs on the spin rate. But to add a little bit more context on his sinker, like I had mentioned, the rate of it was down. I think it was down by -9, but the sinker had 100% Z contact. Z contact means zone contact in the strike zone. 100%. That means every hitter hitting that ball made barrel action, ball to ball contact like nothing. Did not whiff and miss on it. Um, and as well as the slider and changeup, a lot of breaking pitches weren't there. His curveball did get some swing and misses and not a lot of good contact, so that's a plus. But with your other off speed, you can't always rely on the curveball and sinker, like you had mentioned, Angel, on the last pitching preview. That his bread and butter is always going to be that sinker and curveball. Sometimes you're gonna have to mix it up with some different players. If it's a righty lefty, maybe he likes favors the changeup more to righties. Just not 100% sure, but as well as 100% on the outside part of the zone contact, meaning the hitters were going out part of the zone and they were making contact regardless being out of the strike zone. So credit to the hitters on that part. And the biggest one of them all, I was saying this pitching stat: 0 whiffs on the sinker,
Yeah,
meaning nobody swung and missed that pitch. Every
and
pitch that he threw on that one, solid contact.
just to add to that, I'm looking at his pitch breakdown. He threw 50 sinkers against St.
And none of
Louis,
them were whiffed.
24 curveballs, 12 changes, only 3 sliders. That's how you know Framber Valdez is struggling when he's trying to get out innings throwing that sinker because that's his best pitch, and
Mhm.
St. Louis was all on that.
Yeah, they just did a really good job. Just to check if you're on Statcast real quick, on the slider and changeup mix, does he favor that pitch more to righties, or it really doesn't favor any? It
Give me a
just
second.
split.
Uh, so the slider, he's only thrown it 16 times this season. Pretty split even. 8 to right-handed, 8 to left-handed. The changes mostly to right-handed batters. However, he has thrown it 10 times to lefties.
Gotcha. So yeah, I mean, it just wasn't Frember's day at the office, and we've talked about it multiple times. It's either you're going to get a good outing from Framber Valdez, or you're going to get the bad outing from Framber Valdez. And sure enough, this outing, I mean, he hit his spots, but credit due where it's at. When St. Louis's offense just did a really good job with their scouting report on Framber.
Yeah, and when I noticed the same thing. So when I talk about the pitching preview as well, I will mention about that sinker as well too. So this is
Tune
a
in
little
for
bit more
that.
sets. Yeah.
Yeah, tune in for that. But the Astros did get 7 hits out of this game, but just couldn't score any runs. The offense was just inconsistent. That's the biggest word we're going to use in this episode, at least for today. Just they couldn't get nothing going. They only scored 3 runs, courtesy of Jerry Pena's home run in the 9th inning, and that's how they lost the game. I mean, if anything, you can give credit to I think what Jeff Blum and Todd Callis had him for stat of the night or something like that. You know how they compete between the
Yeah.
booth, Julia, and the studio, so they were able to get him. But Jerry Payne has actually been hitting the ball really good in this series against the
Mhm.
Cardinals. So going to game 2 real quick, and it was a different outcome for an Astros starter, Hunter Brown. And I've already mentioned he's pitching like an ace. I think he's going to get some Cy Young votes. I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes in the top 5 Cy Young voting in the American League, because he is absolutely doing a fabulous job for this Houston rotation. 6 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts, back to back quality starts, thrown 17 scoreless innings, Hasn't given up a run since the Twin Series. That's two. What? That's
2 starts.
two starts. Yes, correct. And just to add a little bit of caveat on the top, since May 1 of 2024, Brown is ranked third in ERA in Major League Baseball with a 237. He is behind Paul Skeens, of course, which Skeens has been doing a fabulous job with the Pirates, 212 ERA, and Hunter Green with the Cincinnati Reds with a 220 ERA. It just hurts, I would think, for this Houston team now that he is represented by Scott Boras, and it's going to be very tough to if you want to re-sign him. I really believe this is the guy that is the future of this rotation. He is the ace on this rotation as of right now. He currently ranks fifth in the American League with a 150 ERA this season. Just shows right there how good some American League starting pitching has been. Kevin
Yeah.
Gossman, I believe, leads with a .77 ERA. But Hunter Brown in the beginning too was kind of struggling a little bit, and then he found the part of the zone, got pitched out a lot of jams, and he just has that dog mentality when he is in trouble. And you saw the excitement, the enthusiasm. He had gotten off the mound as soon as he struck out somebody or just got a big out in the inning. And the biggest thing for I want to talk about real quick too is 4 strikeouts. That's usually
Yeah.
he usually gets a lot of people to strike out and during his starts, but you've seen a little bit of more games from his starts of being 4 or 2. I think the Twin Series, if I'm not mistaken, he had 8. But just a fabulous job all around for him. And in my opinion, I think he's been doing the best out of this whole rotation.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's been a phenomenal job. I think you caught it early in the season too, where you said the Hunter Browns would be the best pitcher for the Astros, and so far he's shown it. This guy is not afraid to throw a fastball at any count, and because he knows he can beat hitters with it, his fastball has been so good that he's only allowed 2 hits off that fastball, 2 singles, striking out 10 people off that, and then when that fastball's going, it just complements that knuckle curve that he has and that changeup and also the sinker. So the key to Hunter Brown's success, establish that fastball and then confuse hitters with those secondary pitches. He's done just that.
Yeah, I want to say developing that sinker has helped him in a big way from last year.
Yeah.
Of course, you remember the story of how it wasn't doing too good in the beginning of the season for him, but developing a new pitch, working on a new pitch, working with his, like Alex Bregman, Ryan Presley. He's just done a really good job. Looking at 2024, he used the sinker about 18.1% of the time, and it's just continuing to go up as of right now at 25. He's using it 21.2% of the time. And when you have a knuckle curve, I mean, how many? I'm looking at the pitch arsenal that he has: slider, cutter, changeup, knuckle curve, sinker, and four seamer. I just want to talk about 3 specific pitches: four seamer, a sinker, and the cutter. When you go and view them like point to point to point, like let's say pitching ninja like focuses on the 3 release points for him. I feel like that is very tough for a hitter to figure out what he's going to throw.
Yeah.
Sinker obviously goes like this: fastball as a four seamer, so it's going to be flat. It's not going to be movement like the two seamer. And then you add that cutter too that tails away at the end, just almost like a sweep, just like a sweeper slider. But of course, it cuts quicker. So the usage that he has with his pitches and the way he's using them into his games, into his starts, um, it just shows how much work that he puts in from the offseason going into this season, especially knowing he's going to be pitching a lot more innings this year. I mean, he did it last year as well, but
Yeah, and again, you bring in a good point. Is like he's starting off to a big start, but he has what about 28, 29 starts a season. If he stays healthy, maybe 30,
mhm.
30 plus. So it's just trying to keep it consistent throughout the whole season, and it'll be interesting to see how he does after the All-Star game. I mean, I think I agree with you there, and I think if he continues what he's doing now the entire season, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the Cy Young votes there too. So I'm with you on that boat. I've joined the Hunter Brown fan, not fan club, but Hunter Brown. I believe in his abilities. What I'm trying to say.
Yes. 2023, 29 starts. 2024, 30 starts. He did throw 31 games in each of those seasons. So more than likely, you're probably going to target that area. If you're a US Nationals fan, just knocking on wood that nothing like setback, no injury, anything like that, because injuries do happen in baseball. But the way he's been pitching, obviously the offseason that he had, he looks like he's in tip top shape. He looks like he's in great form. And just looking at the Statcast on Baseball Savant, I mean, percentile is through the roof. 95 being the best. Pitching run value, fastball run value. I mean, average exit velo, fastball velo, ground ball percentage. Of course, that's another guy like Framber Valdez who's going to get the ground ball and have his infield defense work behind him. So he's just done a fabulous job to start the season. Of course, it's still early on in the season, but if he continues this trend, there is no reason why Brown should not be an all-star and headed to Atlanta this season.
For sure. For sure. He's collecting that bag too, making it more expensive.
Yeah, and just even to add a little, just to give it a little twist, could Hunter Brown be one of the pitchers for the Team USA for the WBC? I will say yes.
Could be.
I can see
Yeah.
it. I can see it happening. And I'm pretty sure if we ask him, I would say he would probably want to as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, little Hunter Brown action for you. But like I mentioned, the Astros did win 2-0. The offense, courtesy of Jake Myers, he had himself a game 3 for 4 with 3 singles and a RBI. Yordan Alvarez hitting that solo shot. That was his second home run of the season. But a little bad part about the offense in this game, yeah, had the bases loaded twice. Just didn't capitalize. Mauricio
Dubon. Yeah.
He had some good contact on that ball. I will not lie about that. Some good contact on it, hit the right field, just up too much, and then Jose Altuve had the chance to, and flew out to center field. So, game 3 coming up. Astros were going over there for the series win. You had Ronel Blanco on the mound. Steven Matz was on the other side for the St. Louis Cardinals. And Ronel Blanco, he was perfect, honestly. If you looked at the game, Angel, in the beginning, he was pitching really well. Did get into some trouble. But the 5th inning, just that's when the wheels fell off the wagon. 5 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, and a strikeout. Blanco walked it better in each inning. And what did we say, Angel? Can you repeat it for me? What did we say?
With walks lead to runs.
Walks equals runs. Walks leads to runs. And for him in the 3 innings, because that's what had happened, he walked a batter from the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd inning, except the 4th and 5th. So he was able to pitch out some jams. That was good for him. So I will say that for Ronel Blanco, but that's when it starts to come off. I would say maybe in the second part, going through the order, going into that 3rd part of the order, it's like he falls off. The command starts to struggle. And sure enough, the command did struggle in that last part of that 5th inning. I mean, he gave up 2 singles to Victor Scott II, and I can't say the other guy's name. It starts with the S, so I'm not even going to budge to try. Had 1st and 3rd with no outs. Siniani, there we go. 1st and 3rd with no outs. Throws a hanging curveball that Gainer Diaz set it low and away, but it stayed up, kind of middle part of the plate. Lars Newbar did not miss it. And especially on a 2-1 hitters count, you're looking for something good to hit. And sure enough, that's what Lars got.
Well, the thing with Framber, and it could have been why, because I know we had a discussion of why Espada didn't throw him out there again.
Was this Framber or Ronel, real quick?
Ronel Blanco.
Okay.
Sorry. In the 5th inning, Ronel Blanco has an ERA of 15. And he's pitched in the 5th inning 3 times. 8 hits, 5 runs, 1 home run, and 3 strikeouts. Now, I think a biggest thing for that, and you mentioned it right there, it's walks. Mm-hmm. Right? With the bases empty, he's pitched 7 innings with the bases empty, right? Mm-hmm. He's allowed 9 hits, 7 walks, and 1 home run there. So he's always finding himself with traffic on the base paths, which leads to these extra base hits, or these singles that, a master runner 1st to 3rd, and he's kind of giving himself, a tougher time on the mound rather than just, having an easy 1-2-3 inning. And I think it starts with the walks. I think that's been the issue last year too. Walking hitters is just continuing on. I think once he's able to figure that out, I think better days for Ronel Blanco are ahead.
Yeah, Ronell in 4 of his starts, he has 3 starts with 3+ walks. And the game that he only gave up 1 walk was the game that he won, and that was against the Angels at home. So yeah, and we mentioned this. If he targets around 3 to 4 walks, it's just not going to be I would say, a good day at the office for Blanco. It
It's
just,
like,
and I'm not saying in a bad way, but it's just the truth. You're showing stats right here: 3 walks against San Francisco, 3 walks against Minnesota, which Minnesota he only pitched an inning and 2/3, and then the game against St. Louis, like I mentioned, he was cruising. I mean, giving up a walk in each inning, but he was getting out of the jams because there was runners in scoring position. But as soon as you start getting inconsistent with your command, it's just going to be a longer day. And sure enough, I mean, St. Louis was able to get him out of that game quickly.
yeah. I mean, and it's just those walks, also deep counts too. I think when he starts allowing 3, 4 walks a game, and it's at that point it's gonna be a 4 or 5 inning game for No Blanco because that pitch count is pretty high up there too. And it's because again those deep counts, and it's just him not being able to throw his pitches for strikes at times.
Yeah, as of right now, Ronell has a opponent batting average in April in 3 starts. He has an opponent batting average of 319, which
Yeah,
is really good for hitters, but not good for pitchers. So we'll have a little bit of context with Ronell in here just a second, but the offense in this game too just really didn't help out either. The Astros had 16 batters consecutively retired after scoring the run in the first. Of course, Pena had that hit. I mean, it looked really good for the Astros. I mean, you had first and third. Not first and third. You had a runner on first with Altuve, and Pena hits it up the middle. You had a runner on third and second with Isaac Paredes. Not Jordan Alvarez. Alvarez was sitting that game, actually. So Paredes, Walker, and Diaz. You had chances to get 2 runs into this game in the first, and just did not happen. Jose Altuve would get a hit in the 6th inning after they had gotten a hit in the first. So, like I said, just inconsistent, man. It was just very inconsistent all around for the Astros.
I agree. I mean, I agree. Like even with the win loss thing, I think that's still big consistency too.
Yeah, and since we're talking about the inconsistency, let's go on with our overall thoughts of this series. And we're going to stay with the inconsistent being the biggest word in this podcast tonight. Astros offense. I mean, it's just very, like I said, I can't find another word. If you want to throw me another word, go ahead. But I'd say it's just inconsistent because you're having games that you're scoring 14 runs, 9 runs, 7 runs, and then the next game you're scoring 1, 2, or 3 runs. And this is per Brian McTaggart through 18 games. The Astros are slashing 216 batting average, 300 on base percentage, 317 slugging percentage, and a 618 OPS. An OPS, a good OPS average is about 7 something. I would say about 750,
Yeah,
around that range. And they've scored 3 runs or fewer in all but 5 games. Remember, folks, the Astros have played 18 games this season so far. They have only scored 3 runs or fewer in all games but 5. So 13 games, they've scored 3 runs or fewer.
yeah. What's their run difference? Let me check right now.
You could check that real quick. I'll continue adding
Oh,
to
I
this
found it.
offense.
It's -4 now.
-4. They were
They've
at a
only
positive in a point. There was.
they've only scored 66 runs so far, which is only lower than the Chicago White Sox, the Atlanta Braves, and the Rockies.
Which 2 of those teams you would understand. Same goes for Atlanta, man. They're having a
Yeah.
rough start over there in the ATL. But Houston's offense, since we're talking about run differential and how many runs they're scoring, Houston's offense is only averaging 3 runs a game, dude. They're only averaging 3 runs a game. Not a lot of extra base hits goes to that part from the Astros offense. I mean, they rank in the 20s in hits, doubles, triples, and home runs. And your extra base hits is the way you're going to bring in some RBIs in. That's how you're going to bring some runs home into the dugout. That's how you're going to bring them. And sure enough, right now, the Astros, right there, extra base hits have just been nowhere. But why is that? is because the middle part of their order. The middle part
Yeah.
of this Astros batting order is really hurting them.
The the Astros as a team have 127 hits, which is ranked 29th out of 30.
Hmm.
Only the Chicago White Sox are behind them with 112 hits.
So yeah, middle part of this order is a big, big, big. I would say reason. Jordan Alvarez. I've never seen him have this slow of a start in his career. I would say in the Astros uniform. 224 is a slash line. 333, 362. He only has 4 extra base hits. Christian Walker, the Astros acquired in the wintertime, the offseason. And I'm not saying the offense was a reason why Houston had traded for him. It was more for his defense. But the bat is a plus because this is a guy that could get you 30 almost about 30 home runs to 100 RBIs. More than likely it's going to be in the 90 RBI side. But his slash line 154, 267, 215 slugging, 2 extra base hits only by him. And Yainer Diaz, who had a 300 season last year, batting average wise, um, he's just not hitting the ball really well. Slow start for him. 130, 175, 222, only with 3 extra base hits. Isaac Paredes and Jose Altuve have 4 extra base hits each. Right here, Jordan Alvarez, 4. I mean, Jordan Alvarez, Christian Walker with 2, and Yainer Diaz is 3. Your 1 and 2 guy can't give you the RBIs every game. I'll say that right now. There's no way in hell them 2 guys can give you RBIs. Them guys cannot have an extra base hit all the time because one of these guys that I just mentioned right now is going to be having to step up, or 2 of them at least, to get this batting order and this lineup rolled.
Yeah. No, yeah. So this is gonna have to change for these Astros, especially in the top three. I think a lot of people were excited about Jordan Alvarez, Christian Walker, on Diaz, even Isaac Paredes batting consecutively down the order. But the fact that they haven't been able to produce, is kind of keeping some Astros fans worried. I would say, especially what we've seen like on social and and everything like that.
And of course, you can't believe everything on the internet, but I
Yeah.
mean, you're seeing this continuously just happen. And I will say this: Jose Altuve and Isaac Paredes, number 1 and number 2 in that order, that's staying. And Jerry Penny had a really good game in the 2 spot in Game 3, but the way Paredes and Altuve's been hitting in the 1-2, if I'm spotted, I'm leaving them there. Not Christian Walker, Jake Myers and Cam Smith too. At the bottom part of the order, I think they've done a good job. Jake Myers has been hitting the ball really well.
Mm-hmm.
I think going into Game 3, he was at a 289 batting average. I don't know. I don't have it right in front of me right now. I'm pretty sure it has gone down just a bit. Maybe it's at 271, 270, 269, 268. But he's done a really good job. He's really made an adjustment in his approach. The swing differential as well. I mean, he's done a really fascinating job at the plate. And then Cam Smith, of course, with your typical rookies, you're going to have some strikeouts. There's going to be some games that he will swing out of the zone, but he's not like every typical rookie. I mean, he has really good at bats. He has a really good eye at the plate, puts up good at bats, like I had mentioned before. And the way he hits the ball, too, it's hard. Eric Fetty made a good catch in that series. I don't know if you saw it, hit it right back up the
Mm-hmm.
middle. And I think it would have been a dope play either way, but the barrel percentage and the exit velo off his bat, it's insane for the way he's been hitting so far into this season.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%.
So to me, I think the first 3, I would say Jordan's still good at the 3 spot,
Yeah.
but where I'm gonna need to probably see Joe Espada if try to fix this offense, to get it going. I think Christian Walker, in my opinion, needs to move. That could help him.
Are you kind of cut off there a little bit?
Did I really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm mentioning Christian Walker, in my opinion, might need to move down in the bottom part of this order, either in the 6th spot, the 7th spot, um, more than likely around them 2 spots, or even the 5. Um, I think that could be a vital, valuable part in the batting order. Walker has 23 strikeouts as of right now. And if you go look in the beginning of his season with Arizona, the way he started, it's almost the same amount of strikeouts too. So you can't just blame the strikeouts, but And two, you got to remember too, he's hit into some bad luck. He's hit it to literally everybody in the field: shortstop, second base, left field, center field. He's hit it at somebody with the top exit velo almost over 100 miles per hour. So
Yeah.
to me, even though Datch has shown and all that, the stats I just gave you, I think just maybe putting him down in five could help him, maybe in the six. But it's like too with this whole Astros offense we've just talked about, Yiner Diaz. I don't think you're going to put Jerry Pena in the five spot. I don't think you're going to put him in the four
Yeah.
spot either. So it's kind of difficult to kind of restructure this lineup up. But your thoughts? What do you think about how everything is? Do you see a lineup reconstruction, or you think more than likely it's going to stay like this for a good while?
I think it'll stay like this for a good while. I think that's just, you know, the thing about moving players. I agree with you when you say Jordan stays where he's at. I think that's just where Jordan's comfortable hitting at. I don't think he likes to move, one day fourth, one day fifth, because he's expressed that.
Mhm.
But the thing with Christian Walker is if you're gonna move him down, it's gonna be the fifth spot. I think six and seven spot. Again, I don't know how Christian Walker is as a personality wise, but that has the ability to kind of affect a player, right? Kind of affects their confidence a little bit. They might be wanting to do too much in that spot too to go back into the lineup, to go back to the original spot too. So, and I kind of like the bottom of the order the way it is with
Mhm.
Jake Myers, Cam Smith, and either Dubon or McCormick or whoever else is down there too, or Brendan Rodgers, sorry, as well. So I mean, I kind of like that. Now, if there is going to make a change, why not give Jerry Pena a chance to hit cleanup if it were to make it a change? And Christian Walker's fifth. I think the way he's been rolling, all you need to do is put the ball in play with Altuve getting on base, Christian Walker. I mean, Isaac Baez getting on base as well. Jordan can moving over. All you need is contact, and Jerry Pena has been doing a really phenomenal job of putting the ball in play, using his legs to get those extra bases and stuff like that. So as of right now, I think it'll stay how it is for a while. But if there is a change, I can see Christian Walker moving to fifth, Jerry Pena moving to the Tina spot.
Yeah, that'd be difficult. Of course, too, with Yonder Diaz, you got to figure out where you're going to put him.
Mm-hmm.
I look at his seasons prior to being with Houston with Arizona in 23 and 24. He's always bad fourth.
Mm-hmm.
So you're seeing him in the fourth spot right now. Of course, it's just I would say a very slow start. Not even a very slow start for him. Like I mentioned, more than likely you can, if you're going to move him down, and you've said it yourself, I would say more than likely you put him in the five spot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Paint, not even giving Payne. Maybe it sounds crazy, but maybe even putting Diaz in the fourth spot because that's where he was hitting at last year could make a difference. So it's very different to want to reconstruct this lineup, but it's more than likely that the hitters are just going to have to hit their way on.
Yeah,
That's probably going to be the biggest part of this Astros team.
and that's baseball. Like
Of
baseball
course.
has a way of humbling you real quick. You're doing everything right in spring training, and then once you see, regular season come in, it's just kind of changes. But these are professional guys. These are guys that have been in the big leagues for a while, seen a ton of major league pitching. I think is they're gonna adjust. Like they're gonna do what they got to do to make sure they get hits, to make sure they get on base, and I think that's coming.
Yes. So more than likely, I would speak for myself. If the Astros do decide to move Walker, they'd probably be in the five spot, potentially maybe putting Diaz in the four spot. Like I said, it does sound crazy, but Yiner did hit in the four spot last year. Maybe he was comfortable in that spot. So, and if anything, the lineup will stay the same, and the hitters will just have to hit out of their way out of the slump.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Yes, we will. From the offense to the defense, and not even specifically talking about the Astros defense, what they really did a good job. Mauricio Dubon played a good second base. Cam Smith running some balls and tracking them down in right field. Jose Altuve making a difficult catch down the left field line. Defense has looked really phenomenal, I would say, in as of 18 games into the season. But the biggest part I will say for this team that's maybe a weakness is behind the plate. And Yiner has a good pop time. He has a good arm. You can even attest to Caratini. I won't say he has a strong arm and all that, but Caratini is a good catcher as well. But teams keep taking advantage of taking bases off the Astros. They are taking advantage every series. We had talked about it in Seattle. Let's talk about in St. Louis. The Cardinals stole 6 bases this series. 2 from Alec Burleson, 1 from Brendan Donovan, 1 for Victor Scott II, who is fast as hell, and then 2 coming from some veterans. Nolan Arenado getting a stolen base, and Wilson Contreras getting a stolen base as well. Let me give you a little bit more stats into this catching behind the plate. The Astros are allowing a runner to steal a base 1.33 a game, ranks 26 out of 30 teams. The opponent's stolen base percentage is 96%, which ranks 30 for the Astros. Opponent caught stealing per game, 0.06, ranks 30. Bottom of the barrel for the Astros. I don't know who does the defense when it comes to catchers. I don't know if Perez Chica does, because that's more of your infield. I don't know who goes with the catchers behind the plate. They need a Jason Varitek, I will say, with the Red Sox as one of their coaches. But I don't. Do you know if anything of who works with the
No,
catchers?
I don't.
I don't either.
I
I
don't.
really don't. That'd be a good trivia question to figure out. But the Astros do have to figure out something about this. You can blame sometimes the catchers, but too you can blame the pitchers taking their time when they come in their windup and when they come from the set. Um, Not the windup. The what's the other word, Angel? I'm looking for
The stretch, right?
the stretch.
The
That's what I meant to say. Correct. The stretch, and sometimes they have that motion of a sidestep, or they actually pick up their leg and take their time going all the way to home plate. They don't have the full extension like a Logan Gilbert and a Spencer Regetti. Spencer Regetti has a good extension on his the way he goes from the mound to where his foot finishes. But what do you think these Astro team got to do? Like, do you think it needs to be more of just if you do check the runner? I mean, you only get 2 attempts,
yeah,
so it's kind of it's a cat and mouse game. But I will say the opponent teams have been doing a fabulous job getting that scouting report and taking advantage with some of the guys that have speed. But getting guys like Wilson Contreras and Nolan Arenado, that should be that. Come on, like that should be more of a good chance for your catchers, meaning Diaz and Caratini, to get one of those guys out.
yeah. And honestly, I don't know what's been going on this year. Because the Astros done a really good job of holding runners, especially last year. And I think last year I Diaz was a little bit more respected on trying to steal on him just because he did a really great job of catching those guys. But this year, I really don't know what's going on with that. It might be pitchers being too slow to the like to the mound, especially I would say like a guy like maybe Fran Valdez who has that leg kick. But I mean, I don't know. I really don't.
So I'm looking at Yiners. Let's go back to 23. I know he didn't play a lot of games, but he did catch. And Yiner really did a good job catching defensively.
Yeah.
Blocks above average, 90th percentile with the 8. Caught stealing above average, 82 percentile with a 3. The only thing was the framing part for him. It was a -4. But the pop time, 1.90, 1.90. It was regarded one of the best pop times in baseball with guys like JT Realmuto and Will Smith. Now let's real quick go to 24. And I believe you start seeing, at least in the pop time category, a little decrease. Pop time for last year was 1.97. Blocks above average also went down. Caught stealing above average went down from an 8 to a 4 and a 4 to a 3. If I'm not mistaken, I said that 4 earlier. Now coming into this season, as of right now, Yiner's pop time is a 2.04.
That's been playing more games.
Exactly. Caught stealing above average is now a -2, which is a 1, which is poor in the percentile rating. And blocks above average is a 34 with 0.
And then in 2023, this is the Astros caught runners 30% of the time. In 2024, it's 22.9% of the time. And now in this year, 5.9% of the time. They've only caught, they lead the majors in most stolen base allowed was 16 at the moment, and they've only caught one person.
That's not good, honestly, because that's just giving an advantage for the other team to put that person in runners in scoring position.
Yeah.
So they are struggling mightily in this part of at least their defense. Yeah, and they're going from a 1.90 to a 2. What I say 07. That's a huge difference.
Mhm.
I don't know if it's more of having the pressure of now calling a game and hitting and all that other stuff that goes through a catcher, because they are the ones that see the whole field, or it's just, I really I have no answers for this,
Mhm.
you know. So
Yeah,
it's just difficult to see that part from Yiner, man, because
maybe some heavier legs or something, but I don't know.
which he has been in the weight room this offseason. We will say that. He had posted some videos on Instagram and he's been working out every day in the offseason. But yeah, that's a big stat to look at because some of these guys gets in runner scoring position and next thing you know, little bloop here, little bloop there, that runner scoring from second to home. Runners scoring from second to home. But speaking of the aggressive base running from opposing teams, the Astros too have done a really good job being aggressive on the base paths, and it just continues to happen. I don't know if it's the base running philosophy from Tony Perez Chica. I was spot mentioned it from last year into this year. The Astros have done a really good job, and this is the positive part of overall segment. Jerry Payne scoring a single for Jordan Walker. I don't know if you saw that play of Walker diving for the ball and took a good look at me. Good, he did a really good job. And then Payne ignored or see Tony Perez Chica had the stop sign on him, but made it home. What a good play on him. I guess too, you could see maybe he was looking at the offense just wasn't clicking at that time because remember they didn't even have a run at that time. So maybe to get something going for the offense to start moving. And then of course Jerry Pena single up the middle. And this was in yesterday's ball game with Jose Altuve going from first to third. I think Victor Scott threw it a third. Pena read it, did a good job, and took another extra 90 feet at second base to put him and Altuve at second and third with no outs for Paredes, Walker, and Diaz. So I will say that is a bright spot in this overall thoughts segment for the Houston Astros is the aggressive base running continues to happen. I think Jake Myers is second still in the American League in stolen bases. He's done a good job. I think that just helps the Astros. It's just getting that guy in with an extra base hit or just a single here and there. I think that would help them a lot.
So those situational hits is what it's really effective.
Yeah, so they've done a really good job on that. And just to end it on the overall thoughts, why did Nolan Arenado say no to the Houston Astros? Of course, everybody remembers in the offseason, Arenado vetoed a trade going to Houston. And and I believe the media, I don't know if it was, I know Chandler Rome has this article, but I don't know everybody as a whole went to ask about this question or it was just Chandler. Uh, but Arenado said he was a little uncomfortable, quote unquote, after the Astros traded Kyle Tucker away. I can see that, and I can see his reason why it was a little uncomfortable because the Astros didn't know if they were going to get Alex Bregman. You traded one of your best superstars, I would say, on the team to Chicago, and if you look at his advantage point of it, it looked like the Astros were kind of like, okay, they're just restructuring the roster, and they're not serious about winning a World Series. And of course, in his career, he's still chasing that World Series title. And you can see why he said no. But he also mentioned, too, that if the Astros didn't trade Tucker or if the Astros found a way to get Alex Bregman, he would have gave first base a shot. That was my takeaway of this. I was like, wow, he could have went to first base. But if you think about it, too, if they didn't trade Kyle Tucker and they so happened to re-sign Alex Bregman, you can possibly put Arenado at second, which I highly doubt, or you could put Bregman at second, which I would not even think that would happen either. But you like to see these what ifs, these scenarios of like what could have happened here if this didn't happen, or what if this player stayed and we could have got him.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I think it's working well for the Astros. Cam Smith, Wisniewski, and Paredes have done I would say, a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think on a veteran perspective, like Arenado, you're right. I think you're chasing that ring, so you you're not gonna be allow yourself to be in a situation where it's like a rebuilding mode or anything like that. But again, I'm not saying the Astros are rebuilding or anything, but that's just what he probably saw at that moment.
Yeah, so you can't really do nothing about that. That's just a player's perspective, especially him. Like I had mentioned, still chasing that World Series ring. And more than likely, I think he's going to get traded at the deadline. I just do not
Mhm.
see him being in a Cardinals uniform for that long. So it'd just be interesting to see where he lands. Possibly Los Angeles, where he's from. Well, kind of close to that area. New York looks like they need a third baseman.
We'll see what happens.
Yep.
But moving on, time for the Astros versus San Diego Padres pitching preview, and it's going to be a great series. Giveaways. I think it's to be a packed house Saturday for sure. Like whenever the San Diego Dodgers, Cardinals, Boston comes to town, it's going to be a packed house at at Daikin Park. So the first matchup is a 7:10 start time. Kyle Hart versus Ryan Gusto. Two guys with a very different journey. Gusto again was going to make his start last year, did not, so he made his first start uh, against the Angels, and he didn't pitch not too bad. He has a 1-1 record with 3 ERA versus the Angels. He went 4 innings, 4 hits, 3 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Again, like I said, like he didn't look bad against the Angels. A few mistakes kind of killed him. Like for example, he left 2 good fastballs, middle, and the Angels took advantage of that. However, it's interesting to see how he does against a much tougher opponent like the San Diego Padres, who again are 15-4 you said in our first place in the NL West. So I guess the Rook has an opportunity to prove himself because it seems like he has maybe this could be his final start. He has maybe one start left, depending how McCullers you know situation ends up. So, but I'm sure he wants to prove the Astros that hey, he can pitch in the majors as well. He'll be going against Kyle Hart, who right now is 2-0, undefeated, but with a 5.40 ERA. His last start against the Colorado Rockies, he went 6 innings, only allowed 1 hit, 0 earned runs, 0 walks, and 4 strikeouts. This is a guy who, before pitching this year, was last in the major leagues in 2020. He made his major league debut in 2020 with the Red Sox. After that, did not make the major leagues since this year. He was in minor leagues, and last year took a gamble pitch in the KBO, which is a Korean baseball league. He went 13-3 with a 2.92 ERA, got him a contract with the San Diego Padres. He comes with a 5 pitch mix with a sweeper, sinker, fastball, changeup, and slider. The key for the Astros is to attack Hart early. Once he gets settled in, he's pretty good. However, in the first inning, he has a 20.25 ERA.
God.
He's allowed 3 hits, 6 earned runs, 4 walks, and a home run.
And the Astros have done a decent job scoring early on.
Yeah.
However, can it continue on?
Yeah. I'd say it starts with Altuve getting on base, but it has to end with the 3, 4, 5 guys bring them in. And I know you touched on how those guys have been struggling, but this is a perfect opportunity for them to you know, get that flow back, get that mojo that they had last year, and kind of get it rolling. So I think the Hart could be a good candidate for that.
Yeah, real quick to Gusto's point as well, since you talked about Hart,
Mhm.
this is a battle lineup that you can impress a
Mhm.
organization with
Absolutely.
players like Xander Bogarts, Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny
Machado.
Machado,
Yeah.
Luis Rice. This is a all-star heavy lineup, and this is a great opportunity to go down head full of steam and pitch your ass off, basically, and show
No.
why you deserve to be in this rotation. If McCullers, whether McCullers is in the rotation, or same thing goes when it comes to the last part of either we take Gusto to the bullpen, or we take Blanco to the bullpen, or we option Gusto to AAA. This is a great opportunity to show like, hey, I'm built for this. I've waited my opportunity so long. You got to take full advantage of it. And if you could pitch really well against the San Diego Padres, you're putting yourself up for good success.
Yeah, I'd say if Gusto hit gets two more starts and does great,
Mhm.
I think the Astros are scratching their heads. Is like you said, does Renault Blanco go to the bullpen? Just because he's been struggling a little bit, kind of limit his workload a little bit, less innings, less leverage situations. So it could be also it could, the idea is that the Astros will get Christian Javier back this season. If everything works out, you still have JP France kind of looming there. We haven't heard too much about him, but I know it's early. If Ryan Gusto pitches well against San Diego, maybe his next start, if the Astros makes a postseason, also bullpen. Ryan Gusto could be a candidate for the bullpen to be the postseason too. So
Mhm.
it'll be because, like you said, this is a postseason team, a star-studded lineup. So big implications for Ryan Gusto, I would say.
I like where your head's heading. You're heading already to the postseason. You're already there. But yeah, another thing real quick for Gusto is limit the pinch count.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be doing 20 pitches an inning, and that's what kind of hurted him in that Angel series. A little bit loose with command. Of course, there could have been some nerves there, but limit 20 pitches each inning. You got to be lower than that. If you could be in the single digits, you're doing just fine. But even the double digits, you don't mind. Just do not get 20 plus innings, not 20 plus innings, 20 plus pitches in your pitch count, because obviously that's what had happened in this game against LA. He only threw 72 pitches. He could have probably won another inning, but I think the pitching staff just wanted to see how he handled in his first big league start.
And Luis Ross is not going to make it easy to.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah. But Saturday, 6-10 matchup, Josh Hader, about a giveaway there. So if you're an Astros fan in the game, I would recommend it to show up a little early. Is he Michael King versus Hayden Wazensky? A good pitching matchup. Michael King is doing an amazing job right now. Hayden Wazensky, although the ERA might not show for it, he's done a great job. He's 1-1 with a 4 ERA. Last start against the Angels, 16th pitch, 5 hits, 3 runs, 0 walks, 10 strikeouts. The thing with Wazensky is he needs to limit barrels a little bit. He does a great job of with swing and miss stuff, but when they make contact, they make pretty good contact. 44.2 hard hit percentage is the highest of his career there. So again, he has strikeout stuff. It's just when he makes those mistakes, hitters are taking advantage of that. However, his sinker has been very key to kind of those 10 strikeouts, those swing and miss stuff. Last year on the sinker, he had a 3.8 strikeout percentage. It's up to 50% now in 2025. I know it's a small sample size, but it just shows how great his sinker has been early on compared to last year. Again, the Padres will counter Michael King, who's 3-0, 2.42 ERA, and he's coming off a complete game shutout against the Colorado Rockies. 9 innings pitched, 2 hits, 0 earned runs, 1 walk, 8 strikeouts. Comes in with a 5-pitch repertoire with a fastball, changeup, sinker, sweeper, slider. Heavy dosage on the fastball, changeup, and sinker. That's what the Astros are going to see the most. He would try to, kind of throw off your timing a little bit, kind of make you think with a sweeper, slider every now and then, but heavy mix of fastball, changeup, and sinker. The thing where King gets in trouble in the Astros and take advantage is the third and fourth inning, that second time around. In the third inning, Michael King has a 7.36 ERA. He's allowed 5 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 home runs there. Fourth inning, a 6.00 ERA. So if the Astros can tag him in the second, third time around, they have a good chance to win this game.
Yeah, Michael King did a really good job against Houston last year when they visited
Mm-hmm.
Petco Park. It was him, you Darvish, and I can't think of the other pit. Maybe Dylan Cease was one of
I
the other
think I think it
pitchers
was
in that
Dylan Cease.
series.
Yeah.
King did a really good job against Houston, keeping them off balance, and Houston have seen him from his days in New York when he was
Mm-hmm.
with the Yankees, obviously, but he was a reliever at that time. So they've already seen him a couple of times. I'm pretty sure they'll have a good understanding, a better scouting report too, knowing that he is now a starter. But this is a great matchup. Wisniewski King could be a
Yeah.
pitcher's duel, honestly. Low scoring game. Wisniewski has done a really good job. Yes, don't let that ERA fool you. He should be 2-1. Obviously, the bullpen just didn't help him out in one of those games, but Wisniewski has really done a great job in a Nationals uniform so far.
Yeah. Pitching pitching duels is what I guess the theme of the pitching preview every podcast episode. And it follows up with another. When you mentioned Dylan Cease, well, he'll be going Sunday against Framber Valdez. Now, Framber Valdez has a 1-2 record, 4.91 ERA. As you know, his last start versus St. Louis wasn't pretty, but just in case if you were tardy to the podcast, he had 10 hits, 7 runs, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. And now you mentioned about the roller coaster of the offense. But what about a roller coaster of a season for Framber Valdez? Starts off with one good start, one not so great, one and another great start, and then not one so great there. So I guess if you're throwing your house on an Astros win, you can throw your house on a Framber Valdez quality start too, because that's how the trend's going. But he's really had a tough time, and you brought a great point on his sinker not being as efficient as it was, and his chase and miss stuff has been down on all his pitches against the curveball. So the curveball's still great, but it's just like the sinker on secondary pitches. And if you were if you were here on time for Lorenzo's dissecting Framber Valdez the sinker, you can always catch that up in the beginning of the episode. But all I'm going to say is just to kind of amplify what you said. His sinker, as you know, is one of the best in the game when it's on. Now, his sinker was his put away pitch last year in 2024, 21% of the time. In 25, it's dropped drastically to 7.4% because he just can't get, like you amplified, like he threw sinkers and the Cardinals didn't miss on those. And that's a big thing. If he can't get guys out with a sinker, then I think that's when Farmer is a little frustrated and tries, to throw it a little harder. Maybe try to, get it passed by them, and it's just that's where he ends up making those mistakes in the zone. And I think if he can just trust his secondary pitch a little bit, maybe it'll leave guys off the sinker a little bit, and that's when he can start throwing them again.
I was gonna say that too, real quick, just to add on, just the mixing of his pitches. I think that can help him drastically in his starts. You can't always rely on your sinker. You always can rely on your curveball. You can't go on that 50-50. You got two other great pitches that you have in your arsenal. Why not utilize them a little bit more? And maybe he's just not confident in the slider and changeup, but good pitchers make adjustments. Great pitchers make better adjustments. And Framber's a great pitcher. He can make this adjustment. It's just the way that he makes it. If he's going to do it, he has to go all in on it. Because remember, this is a contract year for him. Yeah. If it doesn't go well, then you could possibly not see the money that he wants, like Max Fried just got. So he's going to have to make a big adjustment, big time throughout this season if he wants to get them type of contracts like these pitchers have gotten.
No, absolutely. I think, he's going to have to make some big changes. I forgot what I was going to say, but I agree. The Padres will counter with Dylan Cease. Was again similar situation to Framber Valdez. He's Dylan Cease, all-star, great pitcher, but he's kind of struggling a bit. He has a 1-1 record, a 6.40 ERA. His last start against Chicago, he pitched 5.2 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Comes in to Houston with a 6-pitch mix: slider, fastball, changeup, knuckle curve, sinker, sweeper. However, he's heavy on a fastball slider. He's actually throwing a slider more than a fastball, but it's by 2 or 3. So a heavy dosage there. But like Hart, he struggles in the first inning. He actually need to take advantage if they could. In the first inning, he's allowed 9 hits, 6 earned runs, and has a 13.50 ERA there too.
I'm honestly shocked he's off to a slow start. He's a really good pitcher.
Absolutely.
Done really well for San Diego. Maybe it was the beard. I don't know. You saw he
he did shave
out a beard and everything. Now he shaved it off. So maybe some superstitious kind of thing for him could get going. But this series overall, man, Sunday being on Sunday Night Baseball, it's going to be good. Dylan Cease, and Framber Valdez, and then of course Wisniewski and Michael King. The first one looks like it's rookies almost, but you had mentioned Hart's been in the league at a time before, but he's getting his feedback, in the water since he was at KBO last season.
Yeah. I mean, interesting series. I think this is a San Diego team with a fire offense who's been, from Fernando Tatis can easily hit those Crawford boxes real quick, and he's done it before too. So they have some big guys there that can put up runs. So the Astros offense is going to have to score runs too, and kind of go haymaker to haymaker with them, because that's going to be the chance to win the series.
Yeah, this is not Seattle. This is not Seattle. I'm not bashing on Seattle either. I think just baseball personnel analysts and fans know that Seattle doesn't have a good offense. But look how they beat Houston. They beat them with their pitching and just scrappy hitting. The Astros are not going to be able to do it against a team like this that has all stars on their team, on their
Left
lineup.
and right.
Yeah.
Also left and
So,
right.
and Houston got all stars on their team as well. I
Hmm.
mean, look, one through. Well, I don't think Christian Walker has been an all star there
I think he
yet.
has.
Could be. I could be wrong. But 1 through 3 in that lineup has been an all star. Um, other than that, I mean, Houston's just gonna, like you mentioned, their offense is really gonna have to
Oh,
be
he hasn't.
big in this series because you cannot score one run against the Padres. You just can't.
You know, you're right. He wasn't an all star, but he was in 2023. He had MVP. He was 23rd in this, so but wasn't an all star that year.
Gotcha. Don't forget Jose Altuve socks on
Is
Sunday.
that is that
That
on
one's
Sunday?
probably the most funniest giveaway I would say for this season for Houston
Is that because he took off his shoe?
because he took off his shoe and he took off his sock in that series against San Diego. So I
Yeah,
thought that was pretty cool. That was pretty funny by the promotion department over there.
absolutely. But just to
Make sure,
go
hey,
ahead.
I was gonna say, make sure you get your Jose socks if you want to wear them on a dress,
Nah,
special occasion.
nah, nah. But I guess to wrap up the episode, we can wrap it up with some injury updates. Caleb Orr pitched Wednesday night with Sugarland. He pitched 2/3 of an inning, 1 run, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, 19 pitches, 19 strikes. I think for Caleb Orr again, it's all about getting healthy. It'll be nice to see you throw him a little bit more strikes, but it should. I think it should be good.
Yeah, you meant 9 strikes. You accidentally said
Sorry, what
19.
did I say? Oh,
19.
my bad. Nine
19 for
strikes.
19 is insane.
That'd be crazy, huh?
Right?
Bring him. I think after that, the Astros would bring him up right away. But yeah, 9 strikes. Forrest Willie also pitched with Sugarland, 1 inning, 2 hits, 1 run, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts, 35 pitches, 19 strikes. Right what I saw. Lance McCullers Jr. will have his fourth rehab start with Double A Corpus Christi. Now he threw what,
It's
60 something,
65, I believe.
65 pitches.
Mhm.
Do you think you see 75 or 80 this time?
I will see in the 75 to 80 part.
Same thing right there. Yeah, that's what I think too. I'd say if he throws 80, I think the Astros could be comfortable bringing him up after
Could
that.
be. Honestly,
Yeah,
it could be. It just depends too, because man, Ronel Blanco right now is, honestly, he's really struggling. I'm thinking,
yeah,
and it just depends to see. I think it depends too on the series, just to see how Houston is. If they get swept, then I would think you could possibly bring him up. But I wouldn't be opposed for Houston giving him another start just to
yeah,
see if we can get that 90 pitch range, 85. Uh, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's just up to the player how he recovers. And so far, McCullers has recovered really well in all his starts.
yeah. You make some good points there, and I feel like if the Astros, you know, back into the boat, well, I would say just for Blanco, but with the injury of Spencer Arguetti, I think depending how Ryan Gusto goes, they might be a little bit more urgent to kind of bring him up if they're not doing so hot. But I would like, again, like you said, one more rehab start after this just to make sure he's good to go. You don't want to rush him and then he gets hurt, right? So I would
Yeah.
say 5, but I can see the urgency with the Astros if Ryan Gusto and Blanco continue this. Well, if Ryan Gusto's not like, kind of declining, and if Ronald Blanco's not pitching great.
Hmm. Agree.
Yeah. And then lastly, Sean Dubin. That's another name we hadn't seen much out there, but he'll report to Sugarland this week to begin a rehab assignment. So, the Astros have some help for the bullpen coming this way. It's just,
Yeah.
just patience.
Yeah, more than likely, I think these guys will probably enter the Astros
The minor
bullpen.
leagues. I would say the minor leagues.
Women minor leagues.
Like I would say, like they'll probably maybe Caleb Ward could get Bree back, but I would say Forrest Whitley once he's healthy, start off with the minors, and then if needed, to the major leagues.
Oh, no, I honestly think they both are going to be coming up.
Okay.
Um, the bullpen is lefty heavy, but you've seen what Caleb Ward can do. You obviously seen what Forrest Willie did in spring training. Not everything's going to transpire from spring training to to the regular season, but it looks really good. So them two, I would say, probably would be coming into the bullpen probably in the Blue Jay series.
Okay.
But this is the side I wanted to say real quick. The Astros are currently carrying four left-handed relievers, like I had mentioned in the beginning, who have combined for a 63 ERA so far this season. Things you love to hear and things you love to see. 28 innings in a third, have given up only two earned runs. Only two earned runs from them. Josh Hader only giving up a run, Okur giving up a run. But Brian King has done a fabulous job, man. He's just done a really good job for this Astros bullpen. Like I mentioned, if Taylor Scott continues to struggle, this is a guy that could probably be in the seventh spot in your bullpen.
Mhm.
Before I get into Brian Brady, which Brian Brady too has looked a little slow, as in struggling with command. But I believe Brian Brady is probably going to get out of it. You can see Brian King in that seventh spot, dude. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, could be. I
He's done a
mean,
really good job.
you always need left-handed pitching.
Yeah, very, very much. I will say for this Houston team. But that is it in the show. Folks, continue to follow us from our social media platforms with X and TikTok Full Steam Ahead, FSA Full Steam Ahead on Instagram. Like Angel had mentioned, he will be out there Friday. More than likely, I'll probably be there Saturday. Maybe we could get interviews with some of these guys with some reels and some shorts. Make sure you're tuning in to the social media platform. Of course, we'll put on our YouTube channel as well. So if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you doing? Make sure you hit that subscribe, hit that like button, and hit that bell. Then you won't miss the videos that we are posting. And like I mentioned in the episode, if you do not like seeing our beautiful faces, we don't mind. That happens. But you can hear us on the road or wherever you're going, long trip, anything like that. Even if you're at the Rockets game, you want to hear some inside thoughts into this series against the Padres with that pitching preview from Angel, you can hear us right there on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Wherever you get your podcast, please give us a rate, review, comment. Let everybody know where they could see us and hear us on Full Steam Ahead. Any last thoughts, Cantu, before we sign off?
No, just thank you for staying with us and peace.
Yeah, I know my Wi-Fi is a little shaky right now. It sucks, but until then, y'all have a good and safe and blessed weekend. Happy Easter. Hopefully, everybody gets to see their families and friends. Drink responsibly as well. But we'll get that recap of that Padre series. I'm not 100% sure because, of course, it's going to be Easter. So, more than likely, we'll probably record on a Monday night just to let y'all know ahead of time. Sunday, we'll probably not do a recording, but Monday night, more than likely, we'll finish that recap of that Padre series and talk probably about a little bit more on game one of the Blue Jay series and the rest of that. Until then, y'all have a safe and blessed weekend and talk to y'all soon.
Peace.